YouTube, how's it going? The Goat House is back. We got an updated NFL mock draft post regular season. Regular season's in the books. We're on to the playoffs. We got all kinds of playoff content coming to the channel this week, so really excited about that. But definitely wanted to update this mock draft now that we got half the order set. We got players declaring. We have the national championship game tonight. Can't wait to watch that. We'll be talking on Twitter. Yeah, a lot going on our Twitter. Check it out. Keeping you guys involved in polls. You guys are voting for awards, playoff picks, everything. Like, subscribe, turn notifications on me. Much appreciated. But yeah, here's our Twitter. We got all kinds of awards. We got semifinal polls for MVP. It's looking like Tom Brady, Aaron Rodgers. We got all the awards, even made up some awards. A lot going on. You guys will have a say on those picks and the game picks as well in some upcoming videos here. So a lot going on this Twitter. Link down below. Check it out. There'll be links directly to these polls. So check it out. Pinned in the comments there down below. To the mock draft. So first half of the order is set. Right now, the playoff teams will determine that rest of the order, of course. Top three is actually the same. I have the same as my last mock draft. Still got Aidan, Hutchison, 1 to the Jags. Really thought about offensive line here. We'll see how Alabama's tackle Evan Neal plays tonight in the national championship game. Definitely stocks could change a lot of potential first-round picks in that national championship game. I can see the Jags trading back, but I do like pass rush for them. Aidan Hutchinson struggled a little bit against Georgia. Wasn't his best game, maybe not as bad as some people are saying it was, but still sounds like he's the guy at the top. I've heard even takes from people within the league saying Hutchison and Thibodeaux are clearly at the top of their boards, but kind of split evaluations on those guys. So that's interesting, but still got Hutchinson at the top of the Jags. Pair him with Josh Allen. Got yourself a pass rush. Lions could go quarterback, actually. 2's a little early for quarterback, but they're looking for that quarterback in the future, of course. Kayvon Thibodeaux, pass rusher from Oregon, top-tier prospect. They're definitely looking for some pass rush. I mean, they can use a lot of it, actually. I like some of the young pieces they added last draft around the other parts of the defense. Definitely need that edge rush, though. Thibodeaux will be a solid second pick. Third pick, Texans Kyle Hamilton, safety from Notre Dame. Rare safety prospect, extremely rangy, long, athletic, can make plays in the ball, can make plays in the backfield. Texans definitely need help in their secondary, definitely need help at the safety position. It's very important in Lovie Smith's Tampa 2 scheme. You got the safeties covering a lot of ground, obviously. And I heard a little bit today that Justin Reed, I kind of felt like they're going to move on from him anyways. Kind of got that feeling, but it sounds like he'll go elsewhere in free agency. Safety, a big need. You get a rare prospect in Hamilton, and it's a big piece, again, of Lovie Smith's defense there. If he'll still be there, we think he will. Ikem Ekwonu, offensive lineman, NC State, has declared for the draft, and I have him going to the Jets at 4th overall. I think there's a shot he can go 1. Him and Evan Neal are battling for that number 1 tackle spot. I've heard that multiple teams in an early stage actually have Ekwonu at the top. Just a rare, freaky type of dude. Very balanced run blocking and pass protection. Evan Neal, very good pass protector. There are some questions, not really concerns, but there's some questions, maybe a little bit of concerns if we're talking top pick for his run blocking. We'll see how he does against Georgia. It's not really a major concern. It's just if we're talking number 1 tackle. I think as of right now, maybe Ekwonu is the top guy there. I wouldn't rule out either of those top tackles for actually the first overall pick. So that's a guy to watch out for. Not like a big name. Got a little bit bigger, obviously, but not a huge name right now. But the Jets pair him with Mekhi Becton. It's pretty solid for the future, though. We'll see if Morgan Moses is back. Giants need offensive line help. Can't pass on Evan Neal, the tackle from Alabama. Again, we'll watch him in the national championship game. Like him in pass protection. We'll see if he can improve his run blocking. But I like him for the Giants. They could definitely go quarterback. We'll get there. For the Panthers is a big one. I think the Panthers tried to solve their quarterback issue earlier in the offseason, probably a trade. I don't think they want to mess around with maybe a project, especially with this quarterback class. Some of these guys consider projects. Matt Rule on thin ice, maybe some other staff members, executives on thin ice here. They want to win now or else, So I think they go all out for Deshaun Watson. I've been saying the Panthers likely landing him, at this time last year. So maybe I'm sticking to that. Other teams will jump in there. Maybe the Dolphins stay in there, but I think they go out for guy like that, a quarterback. Maybe it's not Deshaun Watson, but they also need offensive line help very badly. Charles Cross from Mississippi State could be that left tackle of the future there for them. So they go that route. And the Giants, usually the quarterback would be more important, but they maybe could be willing to wait. Maybe they fear the Panthers would trade away that pick and a quarterback. Somebody would come in and take a quarterback, but then you grab that tackle that's really not, maybe you don't expect to be there. But then I have the Giants going, Carson Strong, quarterback from Nevada. Quarterbacks get tricky. It's not the greatest quarterback class, and it's tough to figure out. I mean, I can see them coming off, the top 4 or 5 guys. I can see them coming off in any type of order. Not too many people mocking Carson Strong first. I keep hearing people in the league say they're higher on Carson Strong than maybe the media is, maybe because he played for Nevada. He also opted out of his bowl game, and we've seen some quarterbacks, minus Kenny Pickett, not opt out. And it kind of goes along with the feedback you get from scouts, coaches, GMs, whatever, So I think he got the good feedback. And I'll say this, I've already started watching some quarterbacks. If we're talking just pure passer, I think Carson Strong is the best in the class. But that's the big problem here is that where today's game is going, the era of the game. Escapability, mobility, athleticism, huge piece of quarterback. And that is where Carson Strong is kind of lacking. I don't want to call him unathletic by all means. But yeah, how will he escape NFL pressure? Can he escape it? Lacking some mobility there, obviously. That's kind of the problem. And why, if he wasn't taken, and there's some concern with his knee. It doesn't seem like that major of a concern. We'll see how it checks out at the combine. Joe Burrow came back as good as ever there after that knee injury. So, but Carson Strong can make all the throws. I mean, his red zone play is ridiculous. I mean, absolutely ridiculous. Ball placement, just highly successful in the red zone. Honestly, I know it's a weak quarterback class, but you don't see that many college prospects that are as good as Carson Strong in the red zone, really. And he can get you to the red zone with one play, may get in the end zone with one play because of his arm talent. It's just that lack of athleticism and mobility, escapability. That's kind of the problem there. But with the Giants and their weapons, trying to get the most out of Galladay with Kadarius Toney and his speed, I think a guy like Carson Strong could work there. I think it's time to look for the future because Daniel Jones he's been hurt this year. That's a red flag, and he just turned the ball over. He's proven he will turn the ball over. So I think this makes the Giants a lot better. Offensive line and a quarterback. It's just the risk with Carson Strong is, I guess we'll keep an eye out for his knee, but more of the mobility on where today's game is heading. But that the arm strength guys are taking over as well. Falcons go Kenny Pickett. I think some teams will be turned off by him, maybe by the gloves. It sounds ridiculous. I'm more of a guy, if you can play, you can play, whether you wear gloves or not. But I know there will be some people, maybe some of the old heads, old school guys that maybe turned off by the gloves a little bit. But he had a big-time year, a fantastic year. I like his ability to get outside the pocket. I like his movement inside the pocket, ability to get outside the pocket, make that big throw. A lot of schemed up plays for a guy to get wide open, though. And then what happened the previous years? He was a decent quarterback. Did they just figure something out in the system to scheme things open? What's the problem there? But I do like him and Arthur Smith's scheme there for the future. I think they're going to roll with Matt Ryan for another year maybe, but they're going to be looking out for the guy of the future, guy that can maybe escape some pressure a little better. I think Pickett makes sense in terms of a fit there and could be number one quarterback on a team like the Falcons board, some other teams' board. So I thought that made sense there. Next group of teams, Broncos go Sam Howell, maybe a little bold because Sam Howell had a down year and people kind of getting cold on him, but I really start to rethink Sam Howell, and I don't want to overthink things really, actually, because he was fantastic in the past. He was fantastic. Talk about potential number one pick. He has that arm strength that fits today's quarterbacks. He has that mobility. He is strong. He's tough to bring down. I don't want to compare him to Justin Herbert because he's not Justin Herbert in terms of the frame, the body, the frame, and the talent. But Justin Herbert has that rare ability just to fight off the pass rushers and keep the play alive. And there's quarterbacks keep the play alive with their legs. Not too many guys fight those sacks off. Sam Howell actually can do that. Breaks a lot of tackles. A tough dude to bring down. And he was under insane pressure this year. I would like to. I think the teams that still kind of question their own protection, I think they'll pass. I think some teams wouldn't even take him in the first round. But the Broncos, solid offensive line, solid weapons. They got Javonte Williams, who's Sam Howell's running back from a year ago. I think they can, have some of those RPO concepts in there. It depends on who they bring in as a coaching staff as well. So that's a big piece to a lot of these. But I think they'll like Howell. I think they want that big playability guy. Drew Lock had a little bit of that, but he's just too sloppy. Thinks too much. Howell, just get him some protection. I think he's got some upside. I got to remember. So we got to kind of rethink what happened in the past. Very solid in that last year's North Carolina offense. This year, a little bit of a struggle. It's definitely not on him. So I do like him with the Broncos there. It'd be interesting to see where he goes because I think teams will really be split. Teams may have number one quarterback. Teams may not have a first-round grade on him at all. So Derek Stingley ends up slipping through. Maybe we were a little higher on him when he's a freshman, but you see the upside there. The Jets, they get this pick from Seattle, of course. Definitely can use a corner in there. Washington goes Matt Corral. I still believe in the defense for Washington going forward. It didn't live up to the hype this year, but maybe next year. Offensively, they just need a consistent quarterback here. Corral did get hurt in that Sugar Bowl, so hopefully he's good to go moving forward. I think he will be. And then I got another guy. Any of these guys could be the first quarterback taken, but I think Washington will like him. Vikings actually this morning just fired their GM and head coach, so we'll see what kind of direction they go in. They need a corner. They may need two starting corners. Ahmad Gardner, Cincinnati, one of the top corners in the class. That playoff game against Alabama, fantastic. Cincinnati played some pretty good defense against Alabama, and you try to figure out why. Well, the main reason why is because Cincinnati had NFL corners, and it's made Bama struggle in the passing game a little bit. So that was pretty damn impressive. So stock up for Ahmad Gardner, who had a lockdown season. I like his length as well. It's just really going to depend on who the Vikings coach is. I know a guy like Zimmer may be wanting Gardner, but they do need a corner pretty bad. Do they look for quarterback here? It's possible. Browns definitely need another receiver. Receivers have struggled for the Browns this year. Jameson Williams could be the first guy off the board. Had a fantastic year. Could run any route, catch any ball. Very dominant after the catch as well. So I do like him for the Browns. Nkobe Dean, linebacker from Georgia. We'll see him play tonight. One of the best defensive players in the country. I love him for the Ravens. Whether you think it's the biggest need for the Ravens or not, it's really not about the biggest need. We'll see if Don Martindale's still there. Haven't heard about him getting interviewed by anybody quite yet. It's still early, but he's a potential head coaching candidate. But I love Nkobe Dean for Don Martindale's scheme there, obviously. Patrick Queen's been pretty underwhelming, but you still roll with Patrick Queen. They play two inside linebackers. You pair Dean with Queen. Dean, a fantastic blitzer, can fill in an inside linebacker, and they blitz a ton as well. He's just all over the field. The guy's insane. So I just really love the fit. That'll elevate the Ravens defense even further. Eagles sitting with 2 picks in a row right now. One from Miami, one from the Colts, and they're in the playoffs. That looks pretty damn good. Could definitely use a linebacker. Devin Lloyd has been a stud for Utah. Just fantastic down the stretch of the season, too. Those Oregon games, ridiculous, especially the latest one. So the Eagles would love to have him. And they can use another receiver. Devontae Smith kind of got to carry that group a little bit. Grab Garrett Wilson, who's another guy like Jameson Williams who can kind of run all the routes, get him the ball anywhere on the field here. So that's at 16. Next group of guys, we got Treylon Burks for the Chargers. Chargers can go on multiple different routes here. Led the league in drops. Mike Williams also a free agent. Treylon Burks kind of a big body guy, sure-handed guy, big playability guy. They need help stopping the run, though, as well. So they actually have maybe more needs than we originally thought. But I'm going Burks here at 17. Saints, Malik Willis, quarterback Liberty. He could be the first quarterback taken. How the order of these guys go off is going to depend on the team. Malik Willis has that athletic ability, that mobility, and that big playability with his arm downfield. A little sloppy against the good teams, want to clean things up underneath throws. I think the Saints would love to have him. And the Saints would like guys like Malik Willis, Sam Howell. I think they would like either one there. So I don't think they would pass it on the Eagles. Another pick, George Karlaftis, pass rusher from Purdue. Eagles got good pressure this year. There's a little low on the sacks. Also, Brandon Graham injured, but how much longer does he have? Derek Barnett, a free agent. So, third pick here, get another pass rusher. A lot of people got Karlaftis pretty damn high up on their board because he's very talented. He's strong. The question is the athleticism. That's why I think this is more of his range, but we will see how he tests. Roger McCreary to the Steelers. Keep saying Steelers probably try to solve their quarterback before the draft. I don't know if they want to go with the rookie. I could be wrong. It's still very early. Joe Hayden could be gone. Need a corner anyways. McCreary's very good at man coverage. So I think Mike Tomlin would like that. Patriots could use a receiver, a big body receiver that also can kind of do a bit of everything. Maybe, what they want in N'Keal Harry, but a much safer prospect here in Drake London from USC. And then you have the Dolphins from the 49ers. Kenyon Green, who can play tackle or guard, but he's definitely going to be a guard at the next level. Could just use a bunch of offensive line help here for the Dolphins. It would be interesting to see if they stick with Tua, maybe try trade for Watson again. Jordan Davis for the Raiders could use a little bit more help stopping the run in there in the interior, some free agents on the interior as well. So they can go that route. Maybe could add another receiver. We'll see how they fare in the playoffs here, and who, if they change coaches, that could definitely play a part. Cardinals still kind of looking for corners. They recently signed Bashaud Breeland, short-term thing. So they can add Andrew Booth, who's a playmaker for Clemson, a Clemson corner there. So I think they'll like to have him. These corners are interesting too. I think Derek Stingley will be the first one taken, but Ahmad Gardner, McCreary, Booth. I mean, there's a long list of guys even after that, but any of those could be the next guy taken there. So the Cardinals grab Booth. And then the last group of picks, Bengals go Tyler Linderbaum, offensive lineman from Iowa. A little bit of scare in that bowl game against Kentucky. I went to the locker room. I thought, man, this guy just hurt his draft stock there, but ended up coming back out. So I think it checks out. I think he's good to go. But I see some people have him towards the top, and it's going to really depend on if teams are confident in him playing guard. I mean, he's a dominant center. Why switch it? But how high do you take a center? You see guys like Creed Humphrey, day 2 pick, working out. Seen some teams miss on a center early. It's like there's just so much risk, using your pick on a center early. So this is more the range. In my opinion, it could be a little earlier, but I've seen some top 10. If he's playing guard, then I'm fine with it, but a little tough if he's playing center. But the Bengals could use some more offensive line help going forward. Bills Kyer Elam, cornerback from Florida, definitely can use another guy in there as well at the cornerback position. David Ojabo, yes, I have the Lions doubling up on pass rush. Maybe a little bold. I think anything's bold at this early stage here. But yeah, they're maybe the worst pass rush in football. Again, I like the way they built everything else. They got some young corners in there. They get Okudah back next year. Aurier is fantastic. Got some young solid safeties in my opinion. Some young linebackers. Get Derek Barnes last year. They got the interior guys last year. They just need some edge. They need a quarterback. The receivers started to pick up. They could go receiver, but man, if you just get this dominant pass rush going, it really can change everything for the Lions. David Ojabo, pretty rangy guy on where you want to predict him to go, and I'll tell you why. I mean, he's a freak athlete, gets at after the quarterback at a pretty high level. Those things, with upside, those things say maybe even top 10 pick. Problem is his run stopping ability. Michigan doesn't have him on the field a lot of times in those moments because he's not very good at it. He's a little raw, has some upside there that you can work with him. But that is a little scary. Just a pure pass rusher. Maybe that's a little scary there. So, and you want starters, top tier starters. You want rotation. So maybe early downs, Lions, Thibodeaux, Julian Okwara in this scenario, Ojabo on the passing downs, and just really boost that pass rush, and that can really change an organization around. So went with 2 edge rushers. Again, they could look at quarterback, receiver. I really liked the draft class last year, so a lot of those guys are going to step up as well. Leo Chenal, linebacker from Wisconsin, underrated guy for sure. Cowboys drafted Mike Parsons last year for linebacker. He ends up being a linebacker, but more of a pass rusher as well. They also have Leighton Vander Esch as a free agent, so they could look to get that linebacker here. And Chanel's a guy that could be raising up boards that once we kind of get into draft season there, just really improve. As Wisconsin started proving over the year, just really standing out, kind of just all over the field, high motor guy. It's one of those classic Wisconsin linebackers for the most part, but more with today's style. Has enough athleticism in my opinion. We'll see how he tests. So the Cowboys go that route. Chiefs, Myjai Sanders, who I thought had a pretty good outing in the playoff game against Alabama. And then Cincinnati rushes 3 down linemen, and he's coming off the edge. Basically, you're more likely to get double teamed. There's not no other guys to cause distraction. So I think, after have a good showing against Alabama, I think if you get him in a 4 down lineman here on the defensive line, I think he'd be better in the NFL. So the Chiefs kind of looking for that guy. His body almost says 3-4 outside linebacker, but the style of play, how he plays, feels like 4-3-N, which what the Chiefs run. So I think he fits either scheme as of right now, I'd say. Buccaneers losing Antonio Brown, Godwin, a free agent, also hurt. Could use another receiver here. Chris Olave from Ohio State. I think they'll like, just a guy that gets open, can catch the ball, can make that big play downfield for the Buccaneers. So receiver turns into a need now. Titans also need a receiver. It's kind of A.J. Brown carrying out there. And they got some, Julio Jones maybe steps up in the playoffs. Westbrook's been kind of a sneaky guy, but they could definitely use another guy, Jahan Dotson. Freak athlete, but for kind of like that speedster, smaller guy, he can go up and attack the ball too. I like him a lot. Very underrated. So I think the Titans could use another one of those guys for their offense. And then Jean-Marie Soller from Georgia we'll see tonight. Their left tackle, not getting enough talk either. He's been fantastic. I think he would play right tackle for the Packers because they have Bakhtiari, but maybe, the Packers are really good at about like kind of recouping the offensive line before it's where they're desperate for them, getting that next man up. They have also had injuries, and it's a little more of a need right now anyway. So I would look out for the Packers to go maybe offensive line, and that's a guy I like there possibly to play right tackle for them. So you start to realize, I think I say this every time, but you start to realize that there's some pretty good talent here because of some guys they have left out, some receivers, obviously. The running backs don't have the running back. I talk about it every time. It's hard to fit the running backs in certain spots because every team seems like they're pretty solid. Maybe the Bills up there, they're pretty solid, but most teams are pretty solid to not need to take a running back in the first round. A couple corners that was hard to leave out. Trent McDuffie from Washington, Darion Kendrick, who had a fantastic game in the semifinal. We'll see him again. We'll see him tonight, national championship game. Maybe a better outing against Alabama this time. A couple safeties could go. Maybe the Chiefs could be looking for a safety. A guy like Jordan Battle from Alabama, another guy to watch tonight. So, lot of talented guys here. Maybe not the crazy depth this year when you get to day 3 like we're used to, but I think there's some potential studs at the top here. So that is my updated mock draft after the regular season is over. Let me know your guys' thoughts. A long way to go, a big process here, so there will be changes, of course. These are just always fun to do. I will start to get to maybe 2 round or more after the playoffs here, early off season. So, again, follow our Twitter. A lot going on there, keeping you guys involved. You're missing out if you're not there. If you don't have a Twitter, I recommend making one. There's a link down below for that Twitter and links directly to the polls. Also, links pinned in the comments for recent videos. A lot of playoff content. Some out, a lot more to come for sure. We got you covered. Really exciting time of the year, so join us. So, going to do it for this one. Thanks everyone for watching. Goodbye.